Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of Mom, or Mothers of Monsters. Alright, so that's actually Mom, M.O.M. So again, Mothers of Monsters. So interesting title there. And cast and crew information down below. But I'm going to read you the plot now from IMDb, which is going to cover a lot. It covers I don't know. I'm gonna start reading it. I don't know if I'm gonna go through it all and basically explain kind of what's going on here. But it's a long plot for. I don't know. I'll get into it here in a second. So here we go. A distraught mother suspects her teenage son is plotting a school shooting, but when he slips through the cracks of the system, she is forced to take matters into her own hands. After installing an elaborate spy camera system in their home, Abby captures a series of disturbing videos that confirms her worst fears. I'm gonna stop there because I think maybe the rest of it may tip off a little too much. But there's a little bit more added on the IMDb plot. Um, but basically, this is a. Let's start with the title. I'll see the title. You can take it in a lot of different ways. If you don't know anything about this movie, you see monster up there, you can think this is a monster movie and so forth. But it's not really in that way. This is a piece that is definitely horror, and a piece or a movie that is kind of making a statement on what's going on in our world right now. And it's very good to sometimes see horror. The horror you can have in lots of fantasy and stuff that's unreal, and lots of make believe. And sometimes you can have characters have relationships that are real in an environment that is not, because you have a crazy lunatic chasing you, or somebody who's not real, or a ghost, or something like that. But here, this situation might be a little extreme, but could be very, very real, and very real for some people out there. And so it is a film that's kind of a sign of our times for some people. And you have here a situation. We've gone through it. We've seen it a lot over the last years, unfortunately, of school shootings. And you see the unfortunate outcome of that, of not only the people who have been killed in these shootings, but you get the investigation that happens, and you find out a lot of stuff that's happening at home. And there's always people that say, well, it could have been prevented, or why didn't you see the signs, why didn't the school do something, and so forth. So this movie kind of takes a dive into that kind of area here. But it again is still a horror movie, so there's a little bit of I'm not going to say this couldn't have happened in this way. There's a lot of things in this movie that could have happened. Maybe it's taken in a little bit of a direction to add a little bit to the horror element of the movie. But certainly things in this movie could have happened. And so yeah, you have a mother and son here, an older son. I don't know if they say his age in the movie, but he's definitely older, maybe towards the end of high school. As opposed to we've seen shootings with young kids and whatever. But this kid in this movie is might even be in his final year of high school. If not, he's up there, and he goes to basically war with his mom here. And as you watch this movie, you can kind of go back and forth with who the blame here is. You see, you have a mom who is basically freaking out. Obviously, she cares for her son, but she's also maybe a little bit mentally unstable herself, and that kind of plays a role in everything that happens. and she's really obsessed with and convinced that her son is going to do something really bad. Maybe to her, maybe to somebody else. Like I said, like it says there, maybe a school shooting. But she's really convinced that he has an evil in him and he's going to do something bad. And, he has a lot of signs of it. This is not a kid who is all good. He's got stuff representing Nazis in his room. He's got, I believe, rats, and he's got maybe some weird drawings, and you do see him get very angry at his mom and acting out, and so the signs are there. She's not totally nuts. She's definitely at an extreme level here, and she does a lot of learning how to put up spy cameras and so forth, learning how to watch videos on the computer and piece them together and so forth. So a lot of this movie is in a found footage kind of way, through the different cameras that they've set up. There's some in the house. She uses some to record. Sometimes she's in front of the computer. So majority of this movie is not just shot in a regular movie standard. It's shot in a more of a found footage kind of format. I don't believe at any point they say, whether this, all these videos are found at a certain point you're watching with somebody else. I think you're just watching as the course of these videos are playing out. And so, you see her set them up in different places, and she's at a disadvantage here because, I think, a lot of situations now, kids have the upper hand on technology with a lot of parents. They know what's happening, and they're more easily adapted to it, where some of the older people have a lot of learning to do and may not catch on with everything that's going on. So certainly her son has the advantage there, and he realizes what she's doing, so he's always on the alert for new cameras and things in which she might be trying to catch him do things. When she goes to school and talks to everybody else, her son kind of goes out of his way to present that he's a really good person, a good student, and so forth from that aspect. Again, proving that to others that his mom might be a little crazy. And really there's a constant back and forth here. The mom sometimes thinks she's got the head up, sometimes he thinks he's got the head up. So there's this continuous back and forth. Every time the mom thinks she gets him, he comes back at it. So it is just a back and forth game here, and it can be intense. There are some scenes that are kind of intense. He gets really mad. You can see the fear in the mom, and you really feel for them. I think you're watching the movie, and as you're watching, you're kind of thinking of it from a horror standpoint, and waiting to see if this movie kind of ever kind of floats more in that direction. But like I said, there's some stuff towards the end that might have kind of get there, and they might have kind of push some things to kind of get in that way. But like I said, you can really feel that a lot of this could happen, and as again, sometimes you watch a movie like this and you just you're trying to enjoy it for the movie and so forth, but then afterwards you kind of sit back and take it in and be like, oh damn, like this kind of thing happens. I'm sure that some of the families that had these events happen, there might have been signs, there might have been disagreements at home and so forth. I know that on the flip side of that, sometimes they say it's the quiet kids that do these things, kids that have kept to themselves, where here you don't really see that. He tries to keep to himself, he tries to keep his door closed, but his mom was going in his room and so forth, and obviously with the cameras, but when he's not when he's not with his mom, or you see him one time with his friends and he's being all crazy, and you think he even hits his friends, and he obviously has an anger there, and again, that the parents are separated, so that might play another role in it. Maybe that plays a role in his anger. There's a lot of things happening here. So again, when you kind of, after you watch this movie, you kind of take a step back and kind of think about it and compare it to what's happening out there in the real world, and the situations that maybe you've experienced, maybe in your city and your state. If you've had this kind of thing happen and read the stories, maybe you can relate or bring it home in a little bit. So you might have some feelings there. But yeah, I don't really want to give away the end of this movie. Obviously, nothing good happens. I'll just say that they don't go to the extreme level of having a school shooting or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about that. Basically, you have a mother and son at the end of this movie that they basically explode, and things come to a head between them, and certain events happen. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil the end of the movie. I think you kind of get the drift of what's happening here, and I think I like the way they ended the movie. There's a final scene to kind of bring it all back, and again, it shows you that it didn't just happen in this case. It happens in other cases, and it kind of shows you that maybe also from like I said a minute ago, you're not really sure who's watching this or whatever, but maybe you see at the end that these videos do get out there, and somebody else watches them, and obviously besides yourself. So it's an example set for other moms out there. So overall, this is a horror movie, but it's got a good message behind it, and so sometimes people out there maybe don't want their horror to have a message and so forth. So if you're one of those people, maybe this is not the movie for you. But I think it's important in a way, and especially since it's set in things that we go through nowadays, or at least some of us, or we've at least witnessed. And it's definitely a tough subject, because it's not only this; it opens doors to violence and guns and other things. And then at the end of the movie, they I believe they talk about if you're abused and so forth, or you're in a situation like this. So I like the movie. It wasn't perfect. It might be hard to watch in certain areas, but I think it really drives home the point here. And with that, I'm gonna give it 3 pools of blood. Like I said, if you're into watching a movie that kind of has a message with it, and is a sign of the times, and an unfortunate sign of the times, it'd much be better to have a horror movie about something that is totally make believe. But unfortunately, this one has a lot of real aspects to it, and again, I wish this one was also on Amazon. So I hope it's getting some views out there, because I think it's important. It's not any big time. I don't think it was a big time release or anything like that. But it's unfortunate. A movie like this should have been seen and should have been gotten a little bit more attention than I think it got. I could be wrong. Maybe I just missed it. But I think it deserves some notice, because of what it does and the message it presents. And even after watching it and watching all of you going through it, and it is tough to watch in a lot of circumstances, and depending on you and how you feel and your experiences in life, Maybe you watch it and you're like, what was that garbage? If you really can't relate or don't really have any thoughts on the subject, I could see it that way as well. But I commend them for using film and taking this opportunity to do something good and good with a horror movie. And I think their intentions are well served here. And so with that, I guess I'll stop rambling on about this one. And Three Pools of Blood again. This is M.O.M, Mother of Monsters. And as always, you can find more reviews at horrorgoryreviews.blogspot.com. Comment down below. You like this movie, you didn't like it, agree, disagree, how you experienced this movie if you saw it. And again, I believe it's on Amazon, so you can check it out there and enjoy. And again, if you catch me on social media, feel free to comment there as well. And I'll leave you with that. So until next time, horror fans.